All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Ostrowski, and I work in Eagle's Environmental Support Division, and I welcome you to our public information meeting and hearing tonight on Wayne Disposal Incorporated Hazardous Waste Landfill, Hazardous Waste Management Facility Operating License Major Modification. So I'll be your moderator for tonight, and I just have a few logistical details I'm going to go through with you. For those of you who have never been on a virtual public meeting before with us, all lines are muted at this time. It means you can hear us, but we can't hear you. And we'll explain how we'll unmute your line later on if you want to make a comment. You can submit questions. We do the questions and answer part. You can type your questions into the question box that we have. When we get to the point for questions as well as comments, you can click the raise hand icon that indicates that you have a question or would like to make a comment during the comment part. And we are also recording this meeting, and we'll post it up on the YouTube channel in the next couple of days. You'll find it up there. Oops. All right, so the way tonight's meeting is going to go, I'll just kind of give you a high level perspective of it. We start out tonight with our public information meeting, which is kind of more the informal part of our evening. We're going to have a presentation by Eagle and US EPA. And after their presentation, we'll open it up for questions from you all. So if you have a question at that time, that's the time to ask it. So if your question like answered, you can type your question in, or you can raise your hand and we'll go through questions. Once we're done with the questions and answer part of it, we're going to move on to the next part of our meeting, which is the official public hearing. And the official public hearing is much different. It's the official formal part of the evening. And that's where we're going to read off an official statement and allow you to make your official comments for the record on this action. And so at that point, we don't respond to your questions and answers. So we're just here to listen at that point. And I'll remind you when that happens. So when the Q&A happens, that's our time to ask questions, and we'll answer. And then we'll move to the hearing. That's when you get to make your official comments for the record. Now we'll wrap up the evening tonight with some additional information and resources. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dale Bridgeford, and he's going to introduce the staff that are here tonight. So Dale, you can go ahead and turn your camera on and make some introductions.
Hi, my name is Dale Bridgeford. I'm the supervisor of the technical support unit in the hazardous waste section of materials management division. Joining us is Rich Conforti, Christine Matlock, Joe Rogers, Sean Shields, Todd Zimba. In the United States EPA, we have Lisa Gracie, Susan Mooney, and Francisco Arquette, which I probably just, sorry, Francisco.
All right, thanks, Dale. So that's all our staff for today. So there's several people listening in and going to help answer questions and be here for you tonight. Christine, are you there, Christine Matlock? I'll let you go ahead and share your screen and you can get started with your presentation.
Thank you.
And just one thing I want to remind you, we've got right now about 17 people logged in. It looks like we've got one phone caller, one person calling in on the phone. So just to let you know.
Okay. So good afternoon. As Dale mentioned, my name is Christine Matlock. I am the Eagle permit engineer for the hazardous waste section for Wayne Disposal. We're going to be going through the informal meeting tonight. We're going to be touching on what the major modification is, and then also what the Eagle overview, and then I'll hand it off to Lisa Grasick with the EPA, and she'll go over the EPA portion, and then we'll open it up for an informal Q&A at the end. And then the formal public hearing portion will actually start after this. So Wayne Disposal is a commercial hazardous waste landfill in Belleville, Michigan. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it is bounded by Willow Run Airport to the north, and then I-94 to the south. And then it has industry to the west and a park to the east. It is owned and operated by U.S. Ecology. It is regulated by multiple agencies, but the two that we're going to talk about tonight are the Part 111 program, the RECRA program, which administers their Part 111 operating license, and then also the Toxic Substance Control Act, or TSCA, approval or permit, which will be touched on by Lisa. The modification is to their landfill liner design. I just want to reiterate that this modification does not affect any other portion of their license other than the landfill liner design. So it was submitted in January 2021, at which point we started a technical review of it. So, sorry, I will go back one slide. So the area that we're going to be touching on tonight is this red rectangle up here in this northwest corner of the property boundary. And then here is a closer picture of it. Waste disposal is broken up into multiple areas. They're called master cells, which are then broken up into smaller subcells. And we're going to be talking about subcell G and F tonight. It's master cell 6G and master cell 6F. So the F subcells are over here to the left-hand side, and then the G subcells are over here to the right-hand side. And these are the particular areas that will be affected by the modification. So what is the modification? It is to include what's called a geosynthetic clay liner into their landfill liner design. This would replace some of the compacted clay. Geosynthetic clay liner is made up of bentonite between two layers of fabric. Bentonite is a special clay that does not let liquids flow through it as easily as traditional compacted clay liners. So it's more resistant to flow. It has been widely used in the landfill industry, and this is important for Eagle's point of view, just because items such as the construction quality control have already been hammered out and they're sound. So what is it going to affect? This is their current landfill liner design. It's a generalized cross section over here to the left-hand side. So we're just going to go start from top to bottom. I just want to make a point that landfill liner designs are highly engineered, and there's a lot of criteria for the design and construction regulated by Part 111, which is the hazardous waste rules, and then also the federal government. It's called a system because there are multiple aspects and multiple components to it. So we're going to just go start top to bottom. The leachate collection system is at the very top. This is actually in contact with the waste itself. This layer allows the leachate to flow to a sump, which is then pumped out and treated. And then below that, you actually have the primary liner system. So it encompasses a plastic geomembrane, think plastic sheeting, which doesn't allow the leachate to make its way through. And then below that is 5 feet of compacted clay. This compacted clay has a lot of criteria per Part 111 that it has to meet, such as technical, soil, particle size. And then below the primary liner, there is the leak detection system. This leak detection system is put in place in the off chance that the primary liner actually fails. It encompasses a drainage geocomposite, which is essentially a geomembrane that allows liquid to flow through it. And this is also sampled by Waste Disposal and then also by Eagle for auditing purposes once in a while. So below your leak detection, as an added contingency, there is a secondary liner system below that. So once again, you have the plastic membrane, the geomembrane, and then 3 additional feet of compacted clay. And then like any other engineered structure, you need a stable base, which is the sub-base system, and it's 2 feet of structural fill or compacted clay in this case. So this is their current design in which their master cells, their cells have already been built to, and they are allowed to build the new cells with this design if they choose to do so. So what would the modification do? The leachate collection system, the leak detection system, and the sub-base there aren't any changes to those areas. Your areas of change are going to be the primary liner system, which is, it'll encompass the geomembrane, so the plastic sheeting is normal. And then in addition, you'll have 2 layers of GCL below that plastic membrane, and then you'll have the 5 feet of compacted clay. So similar to their current liner design, the compacted clay here in this primary liner would also have to meet those same requirements as their current design does. The secondary liner design eliminates the compacted clay, but it does include 2 layers of GCL. So you'd have your plastic sheeting and then the 2 layers of GCL below it. So Eagle has to look at this from a technical standpoint. And there has to be an equivalency demonstration that the proposed modification is equivalent to their approved liner design. So Eagle has made the determination that the proposed modification is equivalent. This technical review was done by Dr. Chin. He is a professional geotechnical engineer with over 30 years of experience in the landfill industry. So multiple things that we looked at in the equivalency demonstration were, technical items. So hydraulic properties like permeability, chemical absorptive capacity. Is it maintain its integrity when it comes into contact with leachate, with the hazardous waste, the leachate from the cells? Physical properties such as erosion, settlement, stability on the slopes, and then also bearing capacity. Operational, how is it constructed, right? Is it puncture resistant? What's the quality control criteria that's used? And then also everyday use, dynamic load. And also we live in Michigan, right? So you have environmental factors as well. So where we are in the process is we're currently in the 60-day public comment period. And then later tonight, we'll have the actual formal public hearing. From after the public comment period, we will take those comments that we receive during the public comment period. So comments that in addition to tonight, there are more days that you guys could submit comments to us. And we'll review those comments for anything that we've missed or Eagle has missed in the technical determination. And at the end, the decision maker, in this case, Kimberly Tyson, will take those comments and then make a final decision, which is approval or deny. We have a technical adequacy that it could be approved, but that decision has not been made currently. So it's still up, still final. So I'm going to hand it over to Lisa to talk about the EPA portion.
Thank you, Christine. So I will be discussing the proposed modification of the Wayne Disposal PCB chemical waste landfill approval. Next. Okay. As Christine said, my name is Lisa Gracek. I am the EPA permit writer and permit manager for the Wayne Disposal PCB landfill approval. The reason I'm here today is because the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA for short, tentatively plans to modify an existing approval that is issued to Wayne Disposal to allow them to modify their liner design to incorporate geosynthetic clay liner, or GCL. To summarize, EPA is planning to modify the PCB approval to allow the same modification to the liner design as Michigan Eagle just described. So you may be wondering why there are two separate permits issued for the landfill at Wayne Disposal and why both EPA and Michigan Eagle are proposing to issue modifications. This is because of the type of waste that Wayne Disposal puts in its landfill, specifically hazardous waste and PCBs. Hazardous wastes are regulated under a set of regulations called the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, or RCRA. RCRA was delegated to the states, and Michigan has a set of hazardous waste rules that are as stringent or more stringent as RCRA. It is Michigan Eagle's responsibility to issue a permit for a hazardous waste landfill. PCBs are regulated under the Toxic Substances Control Act, or TSCA. The TSCA regulations are not delegated to the states, and therefore it is EPA's responsibility to issue an approval for disposal of PCBs. Also, please note that the PCB regulations call permit and approval. Therefore, you may hear these terms used interchangeably. So what are PCBs? PCBs is an acronym for polychlorinated biphenyls. A common trade name is Arochlor. PCBs are man-made. They were invented in 1929. The manufacture of PCBs was banned in the US in 1977 due to their impacts on health and the environment. PCBs have been used as coolants and lubricants in transformers, capacitors, and other electrical equipment because they do not burn easily and are good insulators. Other products that may contain PCBs include old fluorescent light fixtures or ballasts, electrical devices containing PCB capacitors, caulking, paint, and hydraulic oils. As stated previously, PCBs are regulated under TSCA, and the regulations governing PCB chemical waste landfills are in 40 Code of Federal Regulations 761.75. So waste disposal has had an EPA approval, or has EPA approvals since 1997 to dispose of PCBs in their landfill. The most recent renewal of the PCB approval was in 2019. This approval allowed a similar GCL liner design modification for the landfill as what is being discussed today. In January of this year, EPA received an application from Wayne Disposal to modify their approved liner design for Master Cell 6 subcells F1 through F4 and Master Cell 6 subcells G4 through G7 to incorporate GCL. Okay, so this figure is similar to the figure that Michigan Eagle showed recently that depicts Master Cell 6 and its subcells. I just wanted to show this again and reiterate that the subcells being modified are those on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the figure. The liner design for the subcells in the middle have already been approved. Okay, next slide. So for EPA's review of the modification, expert engineers reviewed the liner design and performed an equivalency determination. This is a highly technical and involved process. Some of the items reviewed included permeability of drainage sand, the permeability of the GCL liner, chemical compatibility of leachate to the GCL, slope stability, and technical equivalency of the design, amongst other things. The conclusion made is that the modified liner design incorporating GCL is as protective as a previously approved clay liner. This is the basis of the proposed issuance of the modification to the PCB approval. So the public comment period for the proposed modification is open until December 30th of this year. In addition to this hearing, or until the upcoming hearing, you may submit comments in a number of different ways. On EPA's website for the modification, there is a fillable form that you can use to submit comments. The website address is www.epa.gov/PCBS/WDI. Or you may submit comments by email, phone, or mail to the following people. Please note that I will be spelling some things out because we have people on the call and I want to give them an opportunity to get this information down, even though I know people can see the screen. So the one person you may contact is Miss Christine Matlock. She is the Michigan Eagle permit engineer. Her email address is matlockc2@michigan.gov. That is MATLOCK lockc2@michigan.gov. Her phone number is 517-290-4612. And her mailing address is Eagle, EGLE, MMD, Hazardous Waste Section, P.O. Box 30241. Again, that was P.O. Box 30241, Lansing, Michigan 48909. You may also contact myself, Lisa Graysick. I am the EPA TSCA Project Manager. My email address is graysick.lisa@epa.gov. That's GRA, C as in cat, Z as in zebra, YK.LISA@epa.gov. My phone number is 312-353-3219. My address is US EPA Region 5, 77 West Jackson Boulevard, mail code LR-17J, Chicago, Illinois, 60604. Another person you may contact at EPA is Mr. Francisco Aracute. He is EPA's Community Involvement Coordinator. Any press inquiries should go to Francisco. His email address is arcacisco@epa.gov. His phone number is 312-886-7613. For more information about WDI, you can visit a couple of different websites. Michigan has one at www.michigan.gov/USECOLOGYWDI. So that's michigan.gov/USEcologywDI, all one word. Or the EPA website at www.epa.gov/PCBS/WDI. You may also contact, again, for more information about WDI, myself, Lisa Graysick, at 312-353-3219, or Christine Matlock, the Michigan Eagle Permit Engineer, at 517-290-4612. And for more general information about PCBs, you can visit the EPA website at epa.gov/PCBS. In addition, if you wish to be added to the facility mailing list that Michigan Eagle maintains, you may subscribe online through michigan.gov/EGLECONNECT. Again, that's michigan.gov/Eagle Connect, or contact Miss Terry Vicky for UPS mail at TERRYV2@michigan.gov, or phone her at 517-284-6546. Okay, at this moment, I'd like to see if Michigan Eagle wants to add anything to this contact information that I may have missed.
You got it all, Lisa. Thank you.
Great. So I guess with that, I'll hand the presentation back over to Jim for the next portion of the meeting. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. At this time, what we're going to do is move it over to questions and answers. So I'm going to just bring back over to my slide, Christine, and have that up there. Okay. So in order to answer your questions today, we've got a nice panel of people here today: Rich Conforti, Christine Matlock, Joe Rogers, Sean Shields, Todd Zimna from Eagle, and we also have Lisa Graysick, Susan Mooney, Francisco Arcute from US EPA. So you'll be seeing or hearing from many of them as we go through our questions today. And just to remind you, if you have a question, you can type it into the questions box, the QA box on your Zoom toolbar, and we'll get through those. You can also raise your hand. So if you want to click the raise hand icon, we can see your name there and we will unmute your mic so you can ask a question. I know we have some people on that are calling in only on their phone. And if you have a question, you can just hit #2. It's #2 on your phone, and that will show us that your hand is raised and we will call you by your phone number and unmute your line. So if the team here is ready, I'm going to start with some questions and I'll just read them as they came in. So the first question that came in says, the presentation seems focused on the permit or permits being a modification of the existing liner. However, isn't the permits asking for much more, an expansion of the type and or amounts of hazardous materials that will be stored at Wayne Disposal? So Christine, Malik, do you want to take that or somebody else?
I can. So that is correct, but that is not related to the modification that we're talking about tonight. Wayne Disposal did submit a renewal application that included the things that you specifically talked about, an expansion of the types and amounts, but we will discuss those at the public meetings that are related to the renewal application. Tonight was a public hearing specifically for the permit, which was their landfill liner design.
Okay, thanks. Next question, was Wayne Disposal's proposed modification to eliminate the compacted clay liner designed to increase airspace to landfill more hazardous waste and more PCB waste?
I can also ask that. That may have been an item for Wayne Disposal, but in regards to the technical review for the state of Michigan and EPA, that was not taken into account. And this permit does not give them an expansion of the volume that they're allowed to take or an increase in their airspace.
All right, they might want to stay on here, Christine, because there's some more that you probably want to answer too. The next one refers to when you're talking about the engineers who reviewed the application. Were the expert engineers who examined the GCL paid for by Wayne Disposal, or were they independent engineers paid for by either the state of Michigan or EPA?
I will let Lisa talk about the engineers that she used, but Dr. Chin is an employee of the state of Michigan. He is not paid by Wayne Disposal or US Ecology.
We also used an independent engineer. We used a contractor, TRC, that had engineers with expertise in landfill design. So it was independent, completely independent of Wayne Disposal.
Okay, thank you. Here's another one from the same person. Is there proof that the GCL will not leak when exposed to acidic and corrosive hazardous waste? If so, please provide it to the public for examination.
Yeah, so part of the technical review and the demonstration that Wayne Disposal had to provide to the Eagle and EPA is that the GCL will not be compromised in any way when it is in contact to the waste or the leachate that is produced from the waste. We do have that information. We can, if you can get to me, if you can send me an email personally, we can get you that information in that demonstration that we went through.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm going to have Christine Grossman, who's here helping me out. In your response, could you include Christine Matlock's email address so they can reach out to her directly? That'd be great. All right, going on to the next question. What type of environmental review has been done in terms of the potential impact to the Huron River watershed? Given the proximity to the Huron River, Belleville, I guess she's another thing that meant Huron, the Huron River, Belleville Lake. Talking about the risk to groundwater, contamination, and migration. So can somebody talk about the environmental review that was done? That's like Joe's up there and Christine.
Yes, I'm going to hand it off to Joe. This review was not done because they did not, Wayne Disposal did not have to provide that information. It was just in terms of if the landfill liner design was equivalent to the compacted liner design, but I will let Joe answer the environmental monitoring.
So yeah, as part of their license with Eagle, they have to do groundwater monitoring. They have to do monitoring of all sorts of media, but they have many monitoring wells surrounding the hazardous waste landfill cells that they have to monitor every 3 months to make sure that the landfill isn't leaking. They also have a leak detection system in the landfill. So as Christine explained earlier, the landfill has 2 liners. So we have a leak detection system under the first liner that would give us an early warning if that one leaked. They sample those. They have one of those sumps to sample in each of the subcells. We sample that every 3 months. We also sample air, soil, surface water, and various other media. So, I mean, there's a lot of monitoring that is done at the site to make sure that there isn't any releases from the landfill.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Okay, I'm going to go to my board here, and it looks like we got somebody with their hand raised. So, Luann, you have your hand raised. I'm going to allow you to unmute your line, and you can go ahead and ask your question if you like. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thanks. I thought I'd raise my hand since I have about 3 questions that are interrelated pertaining to the liner's ability to protect against harmful radioactive materials that are being put into this landfill. In which section or sections does the radioactive waste get disposed in? Is it in the sections that you're talking about for the modified liners? That's one question. You want me to ask all of them at once?
Yeah, if you could, please.
Sure, absolutely. Another comment question is, someone said in the beginning that where the landfill is located, and I've seen this written too, and it kind of concerns me that an airport is to the north, I-94 is to the south, and I think someone said a park is to the east, but actually a middle school is to the east, adjacent to this property. And I'm very concerned about impacts to the school. So I thought I'd like to just, mention that always should be stated when explaining where this is in location, to the public. My other questions are, does the new proposed liner do worse, the same, or better of a job of retaining radioactivity, or does it at all? Can any liner do that? And a third question, I guess, is how often does the facility conduct radioactivity testing at McBride Middle School and the grounds there, and even of the, inside of the school building? Thank you.
We can answer a couple of your questions here tonight, and then a couple of them we will have to refer you to the radiological protection division, or I'm sorry, section. They are in charge of the T-norm. So the hazardous waste section does not regulate T-norm. That is regulated under a different section and different.
Christine, can you tell what T-norm is?
Oh, sorry. It is a technologically enhanced radiological material. And so we can get you their information, their point person to discuss about Wayne disposal specifically. In terms of where the landfill is located, thank you for pointing out about the middle school. We'll look into that. And then does the liner do a better job or worse or the same at retaining for radiological? To be honest, they had to demonstrate that it would be protective as the compacted clay for all the material. And they successfully did that, both for the state of Michigan and EPA. But we can get you in contact for your other questions.
Yeah, thanks, Luann. I'm gonna have Christine Grossman, like I said, is here with us to kind of take your name down so she can get you that information.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your questions tonight. All right, I'm gonna go back over to my question box here, and we'd have one here. Person's asking, what does Wayne Disposal have to gain from adding GCL to the liners? Anyone want to tackle that one?
I'll let Lisa speak for EPA, but in terms for the state of Michigan, we did not look at what they were to gain. We're purely looking at the technical equivalency. If they had something to gain, that is not taken into consideration for our decision.
Yeah, that's the same for EPA. I mean, we did not look at all if, you know, look for any motives as to what, you know, the company wanted to gain from this. We just did a technical evaluation and made sure it was technically equivalent to the previous compacted clay liner.
Okay, got a few more questions here. Thanks. Why are Eagle and EPA just now requiring Wayne Disposal to install leak detection?
And for the state of Michigan, leak detection, that layer has always been required as per the Part 111, our hazardous waste rules. So that is not something new. That has been installed, and when a cell has been designed and built after the RECRA program came into existence and the Part 111 rules were enacted.
Yeah.
And again, it is the same for EPA. We as far as I know, the liner system, we've always had a leak detection system as part of the liner design.
Next one here came in. Past EPA research demonstrated that in the long run, all landfill liners will leak. What are Eagle and EPA doing to ensure that the landfill liner will not leak and contaminate groundwater and soil? So do any of you want to address, I guess, the EPA research and what's being done?
So I don't know exactly what research you are referring to. However, I will say that I can tell you what we're doing to ensure, and that is generally it's the monitoring that Joe Rogers went over, and it's the maintenance of the landfill. The Wayne Disposal is required to pump leachate out of the landfill on a regular basis, monitor the volumes. They're required to sample and analyze the leachate and leak detection on a regular basis, plus groundwater. So we would know if there was an issue, and we're ensuring it by the maintenance of the landfill. Christine?
That's also the same for the state of Michigan.
Yeah, thanks. This next question is for Joe. Earlier you were talking about groundwater monitoring. Were there any groundwater monitoring sampling results from Wayne Disposal over the past years that indicated a release to groundwater, or were all the groundwater sampling results non-detect?
So there have been no indications from the groundwater monitoring results that we've had over all the years that indicate a release from the landfill to groundwater. Non-detect, that we monitor for a lot of things that are naturally occurring. So we use statistics to evaluate whether or not they're increasing, but so not everything is non-detect, but things like non-naturally occurring organics are non-detect, and some of the naturally occurring parameters haven't increased. So yeah, I mean, there's been no indication of any releases to groundwater from all the groundwater monitoring that's been done out there.
All right, thanks, Joe. Christine, back to you. Does Wayne Disposal accept indestructible PFAS waste? If so, how many cubic yards per year?
To be honest, PFAS waste is not regulated by the hazardous waste section or under RCRA rules. It's not considered a hazardous waste. So I do not know if Wayne Disposal is accepting PFAS waste or how many cubic yards per year. I feel like you would have to contact Wayne Disposal directly to find that information.
Yeah, no one else on our panel has any idea if they accept PFAS waste, just checking. Okay. All right, I guess this is more of a general question. Why is Wayne Disposal asking to modify the liners? Is that something we can address? Do we know?
Yes, we do. Naturally occurring clay is hard to come by. To be perfectly honest, it's hard to come by, and they need a lot of it. A lot of it is needed for these liners to be effective and safe. And so I think there's a need for an alternative method to ensure the safety of the landfill, which is why I believe they were asking for it.
Yeah, thanks. Going back to some monitoring questions. Does Wayne Disposal sample and analyze its leachate for PFAS concentrations?
We have a sample for PFAS in the leachate. They're not required to analyze it currently. This was kind of a one-time project that we did for PFAS. We did detect low concentrations. It is something we're looking at when we renew their license in the future. If that's something that we need to consider to analyze for in the leachate, if they're going to be disposing of it there. So we have sampled it. It's not required as part of their routine monitoring currently, but we're evaluating that as part of the current application that Christine mentioned earlier.
All right, hang on there, Joe. Got to follow up to that. Is the leachate analyzed for radioactive levels or radioactivity?
Help me out, Christine. I think we are working on a groundwater monitoring program currently for the radioactivity elements, but I'm not sure about the leachate.
I don't know about the leachate either, but when we get you, Luann, if you can email me directly, we can get you all these answers. Also, in response to your previous question about the only landfill with the radioactive waste, but I am not sure. I do, like Joe, I know that we sample for it in the groundwater, but I don't know about leachate.
Right.
Yep. It looks like there's some other questions about radioactive waste in here too that we can't answer those. Don't have the right people here tonight to answer those, but we will provide you with the direct contact for that program to get back with those questions related to radioactive waste. How often does either Eagle or the EPA independently test the groundwater, or is it all self-reporting by Wayne Disposal?
So as I mentioned earlier, yeah, Wayne Disposal does quarterly sampling, and we will go out and do inspections. We do at a minimum one inspection a year where we go out and we do collect samples on some of the wells and do an inspection of their sampling procedures, and we do our own analysis and we provide a report. So we do it at least annually. They sample every quarter, and then sometimes we're out additionally for additional inspections.
All right, thanks, Joe. All landfills are sources of PFAS. When will Eagle require PFAS sampling in leachate and groundwater? When is Wayne Disposal's permit up for renewal? So anybody want to tackle the PFAS question about monitoring?
I actually, I don't think we're prepared to respond to the PFAS sampling tonight. However, I can answer their permit is up for their operating license is up for renewal. It expires May 4th of 2022, and they have already submitted their renewal application to the hazardous waste section.
All right. Well, looks like we got one more question here. Then I think we're going to move it over to our public hearing part of tonight, where you all can make your official comment. So this question asks, is the modified liner something that is prepared to handle the total load of radioactivity?
So similar to the other hazardous waste, it had to be compatible with the T norm. And that was evaluated also, correct.
Right. Yeah, so another question came in when I thought that was the last one, but here's one more. It's a good one. How can residents best understand all of the applications and permits being applied for this year and or next? So do you guys want to talk about how that stuff's being posted or announced, or how can people track it?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. If you are referring to waste disposal in specific, that's what I can answer to. The state of Michigan has a website. It is michigan.gov/US Ecology WDI, and all of their information is posted. So their modification, their renewal application has not been posted to the website yet, but it will be. If we are holding public meetings, we notify on that website. But there are also multiple ways you can join. The state of Michigan has a facility mailing list, which is done by email. It's a Gov delivery. You can sign up through michigan.gov/Eagle Connect. Or if you want to receive notifications by mail, you can contact Vicki Terry for that to be put on that list.
And I just want to say for EPA that we also have a website, www.epa.gov/PCBs/WDI. And on that website, we have all the documents and, in question for whatever permitting action we're taking. So for this modification, we have it's called the administrative record. And we have the application that was submitted, the current approval and the modification that's being proposed, as well as our contractor's review.
Got to mute myself. Okay, thank you. So if you're online here and you're following the chat, Christine Grossman put a lot of these links into the chat. I will ask Christine G if you could put in the direct link to the listserv, the mailing list that we talked about. So if people tonight are interested, they can get on the mailing list. Okay, there we go. So thanks. So if you go to Eagle Connect, you put your email in, you can sign up for all sorts of different lists that we push out. And one of those is going to be on Waste Disposal Inc. And Christine, or can you tell me, when they check that, is it listed under WDI Waste Disposal, or is it under some other name? How do they know for this one?
Are you referring to the facility specific
Mailing list? Yep.
Yes.
Because when you sign up, I know you sign up for all sorts of different lists, and I want to make sure everyone here knows which one they sign up to get on the WDI list, because it can be confusing.
That is, we'll get you an answer in a second and post.
Yeah, and we can actually put the direct link in there, or we can follow up too with you all with an email with that, because I want to make sure you got that. It's a very useful tool to follow along with what's going on here. Okay, well, I'll ask this one last question. Is Eagle's environmental review available? So the environmental review that was done is available somewhere for people to look at.
Sorry, I don't understand what you're asking.
I think earlier a question came in about, do we conduct an environmental review or what kind of reviews were done on this application? Is it posted somewhere? Could people look at it? I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, if he was asking about the sampling that I mentioned about the annual reviews, those are written up in a report that's public information that could be gotten from a FOIA. We do, when we were reviewing the application, part of that is, reviewing all kinds of regulations, which could be generally construed as a environmental review. And obviously the review of their application is also all going to be publicly available. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not, but.
Yeah. And if people go to the website that we've established for this, they can find a lot of the documents that we have available there as well. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move to the second part of our evening, which is the official public hearing. So I'm going to turn it over to Dale Bridgeford again. And at this point, what he's going to do is read off what we consider our official hearing statement. It lays out everything that's going to happen tonight at the hearing and why we're here. And then we'll open it up for comments. So Dale, I'll let you go ahead and read the statement and get us started.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the public hearing portion of the evening. My name is Dale Bridgeford. I am with the Materials Management Division of the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, or EAGLE, and I will be the hearings officer for tonight. Kimberly Tyson is the section manager for the hazardous waste section in the Materials Management Division, and she will be the decision maker for this Part 111 operating license modification, and will be listening in on the hearing. For the EPA Toxic Substances Control Act, or TSCA permit modification, Susan Mooney, the supervisor of the EPA Region 5 RECRA C and D section, will be listening in on the hearing as well, and will provide recommendations on the final TSCA decision. This hearing is for the permit modification to the existing rain disposal hazardous waste operating license for US Ecology's Wayne Disposal Hazardous Waste Landfill, which is located in Belleville, Michigan. I'm going to go over some background information before we start hearing your comments. For the license modification that we are discussing tonight, the Materials Management Division is responsible for regulating facilities that treat, store, and dispose of hazardous waste to minimize adverse impacts on public health and the environment. The law governing these responsibilities is Part 111 of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act. The US EPA is responsible for regulating facilities that store and or dispose of TSCA polychlorinated biphenyl or PCB waste. The regulations governing TSCA PCBs are found in Part 761 of Title 40 of the Code of Federal Regulations. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to give anyone interested in the proposed modification to Wayne Disposal's Part 111 hazardous waste operating license and the TSCA PCB approval an opportunity to provide information that the agencies may use in deciding if the modification request can be approved. This does not mean the agencies have already made a decision. Instead, it reflects that initial technical review of the proposed modification submitted by Wayne Disposal meets the technical standards, making it eligible for approval. We hope having the details of the modification available will help you in providing comments. Everything in the modification remains open for comment and further consideration by the agencies, including whether the modification will be approved at all. Please recognize that the agencies can only use the information you provide if it relates to the criteria you must use in making a decision. For example, concerns related to local zoning, truck traffic, and noise are not within the agency's authority. Some of you may want to simply express support or opposition to the proposed modification. We are happy to make note of your position, but please understand that the agencies by law are not allowed to base our decision on whether there is widespread support or opposition to the modification. This hearing is being recorded and your comments will be part of the information the agencies will use to make their decision on the proposed modification. The public comment period for the modification request began on November 1st, 2021, and will end at midnight on December 30th, 2021. Additional information and comments may be submitted through that time. After the close of the public comment period, the decision makers will review all comments received before making the final decision. The decision makers may deny or approve the modification. In both scenarios, denial or approval, all interested parties, including everyone who was on the original mailing list, anyone who provided comments during the public comment period, and anyone who attended the public meetings and hearings will be directly notified of the decision. This notification will include letters from the decision makers regarding the decision. The decision will also be posted on both agencies' websites, and Eagle's decision will be sent out through its electronic notification system. To ensure today's hearing is conducted in a fair manner, we will follow these steps. First, we will call the names of those who have indicated they would like to make a statement when they're registered for the hearing. When your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted. As you begin your comments, please state your name and any group or association you may represent. After we have called on those who requested the comment during registration, we will open it up to others to make a comment. At that time, you can click on the raise hand icon in your Zoom toolbar to indicate you would like to make a comment. If you are joining by telephone only, you can press #2 on your phone to raise your hand. Please remember as you begin your comments to state your name, any group or association you may represent. When all the comments have been completed, we will ask if anyone else would like to make a statement. Each person will be given 5 minutes to make their comments. We will indicate to you when you have 1 minute remaining. Please begin wrapping up your comments and end within the allotted time. If need be, we will indicate when your time has ended. Please understand the purpose of the hearing today is to provide an opportunity to receive and listen to your comments only. The hearings process does not allow for open discussion or questions about the proposed license modification. Legal staff will not be responding to questions or comments during the hearing.
Okay, thanks, Dale. At this time, so we're going to start the hearing. So I'm going to have, if your decision makers that are going to be listening in for the hearing, go ahead and turn your cameras on. And we went to the introductions. You can see up on the screen who's all here today. And they're going to be listening to comments. So like Dale said, when you registered, you had the opportunity to indicate whether or not you wanted to make a comment tonight. Only one person indicated they wanted to make a comment. And looking through my list of attendees, that person is not here. So what we're going to do is just move in directly to those who want to indicate to me if they want to make a comment by raising their hand, and I'll call on you. If you are on the phone, listening in by phone only, you can click the #2 buttons and that'll raise your hand and we can unmute you that way as well. So again, if you'd like to make a comment, go ahead and raise your hand and we will call on you. Just a reminder, when we do call on you, you will want to restate your name and any affiliation or association that you're with. Then you can make your comment and I'll be timing you. I've got my phone here to time for up to 5 minutes. And I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left. So with that, I'm going to start off with our hands that are raised. And I see that Luann has got her hand raised to make her comment. So I'm going to unmute your line and you can go ahead and make your comment, Luann.
Okay, hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Hi, my name's Luann Cosma. I live in Charlevoix, Michigan. I used to live in Belleville though, so this location is and facility is of interest to me. I also am affiliated with a nonprofit organization called Ban Michigan Fracking, which has been involved in issues regarding this landfill in the past. In 2014, we learned that 36 tons of highly radioactive frack waste was coming to this facility from Pennsylvania. And we were, I believe, able to stop that particular shipment. But since that time, in 2018, the state of Michigan legislature passed a law that allowed higher levels of radioactive materials to come into this landfill, raising it from 50 picocuries, I believe, to 500 picocuries per gram. And I also heard testimony by the U.S. Ecology representative who testified before the legislature in Lansing that this landfill has another 15 years of taking in waste. What I didn't hear tonight during the question and answer period was whether the panel making the decision on this new liner knows whether or not the new liner, or even for that matter, the old liner, is capable of handling the final load of radioactive materials that will be eventually deposited here if it continues to take radioactive waste for another 15 years or so. So that concerns me. Another thing that I mentioned in the Q&A is that often the description of this facility is described only in terms of what is north and south of it, but not what is east of it. And that is a middle school for the Van Buren Public Schools. And there are a lot of children and adults in that facility, in that school building. There are park facilities, our athletic fields right nearby, and right next to the leachate pond. So we also did not hear tonight whether or not the leachate, which goes out into the leachate ponds, I believe, I could be incorrect there, but whether or not it's being tested for radioactivity. So I know that's not related to the liner. But we really don't know the capabilities of the liner regarding the T-norm that is in the landfill. Oh, a question that I had that was not asked or answered, but I'll just make a comment on it because it would be nice to find out. I know you can't answer, is the areas that are proposed for this modified liner, are those cells taking in radioactive materials? And that is all for tonight. Thank you. I'll be writing other written comments. Appreciate the opportunity to speak.
All right, thanks, Luann. One thing I forgot to do, I meant to do this, is ask if there's any public officials, any elected officials in attendance, and whether or not they would like to make a comment today. So if you're an elected official and you'd like to make a comment, please click the raise hand icon and we'll call on you. And I am not seeing any hands raised. So again, going back to anyone else who would like to make a comment on this action, you can please raise your hand. I do not have any hands raised right now. So if you'd like to make a comment, please do so. And I'll leave it open for just a minute here, let people decide. Up on the screen, I've also got the addresses and email address for where you can submit comments. I put that back up there. It's also in the chat, so Christine Grossman put it in the chat for you all as well. Okay, we do have another person that wants to make, oh, she's put her hand down. So you'd like to make a comment? I don't see your hand up if you would like to make a comment. Okay, there we go. We got someone who wants to make a comment. Connie, you can make your comment. I just unmuted you. You can unmute your line now. So if you'd like to go for 5 minutes, you can state your name and any affiliation. Go ahead.
Okay, just a quick comment and follows up on the question that I raised. We know that there are.
I'm sorry, Connie. We can't really hear you that well. I don't know if there's something wrong with your microphone. Maybe you can move
That could
closer.
be.
Just
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah, a little bit better now. We gotta make sure you get your comment.
I just want to mention that I'm on the Citizens Advisory Work Group for PFAS, and there are close to almost 200 PFAS sites in the state of Michigan. And I've been told that waste disposal is accepting PFAS waste. I really would like to hear more about whether or not they can contain PFAS waste. It moves very fast, very quickly, and it contaminates soil and groundwater. So that's why I asked for the environmental review. I think that was mentioned, someone mentioned it earlier in this particular call. And just like you know, I know Wayne County is especially known as a trash county. A lot of us are very protective of Wayne County and especially our soil and groundwater. And the number of sites that we have, this is a real serious concern for residents of Wayne County. And I am not sure, I don't feel confident that people is taking this as a serious matter and one that residents should be protected from. So that's essentially what I want to do is just ask for a good review of waste disposal's acceptance of PFAS. And whether or not they can reassure us that their liners, all of them, are holding this. I don't have problems with a good landfill properly working and painting it. But, you know, I don't feel the satisfaction or the trust that I should be feeling that you've really done a good job as Eagle to protect our interests, our residents, our children at middle school. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Connie. Just want to let you know, some of your comment was kind of cutting in and out. So I asked that maybe if you could use an email address up there too, if you want to submit it that way as well, just to make sure our whole team here gets your comment in full. So
Okay.
you might want to submit it that way because it kind of cut in and out a little bit, just to let you know. Thank you, though.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Checking back to see if anyone else would like to make a comment tonight. I'm not seeing any more hands raised. So I am going to turn it over to Dale, who's going to read off our closing statements tonight. So Dale, you can go ahead and go.
So thank you for taking time to participate in this meeting tonight. We appreciate your interest in protecting Michigan's environment. As indicated at the beginning of the hearing, the public comment period will close at midnight on December 30th, 2021. All interested parties, anyone who provided comments during the public comment period, and anyone who attended this public hearing or prior public meetings on this issue will be directly notified on the final decision of this proposed modification. The hearing is now closed. Thank you again.
All right, thanks, Dale. And I want to open up to if there's anybody else on the Eagle team or EPA team who'd like to make any more comments. Go ahead. All right.
Nothing more here. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, then yeah, I'm gonna close it up. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, taking time out of your evening. I know we're all busy and it's important stuff, and I'm glad that you all took time out today to ask your questions, make your comments. I do appreciate that. And so like we mentioned during the meeting, we will be in the chat. There's some contact information. Please go ahead and check out the website, get signed up for the mailing list, and well, actually, everybody that's registered tonight will send a follow-up email to you with some of this contact information so you have it. Thank you all. And one more thing, we did record tonight's meeting. and we'll post it on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. So I think by Monday, it'll probably be up on our YouTube channel. If you look up EGLE on YouTube, you'll be able to find all our public meeting recordings are posted there. So thank you all for joining us, and have a great rest of your evening.